It's been a little while since I've done an accolades video, but North Carolina is back in the news for reclaiming its title as the #1 state for business in the entire country. That's according to CNBC's highly respected annual study, which evaluates all 50 states across everything from workforce quality to infrastructure to innovation. Now, this is the third time in the last 5 years that North Carolina has received this honor. Oh, and in the other 2 years, we still came in at #2. So, what makes North Carolina continually stand out above the rest? I'll break it all down for you in this video. But before we dive in, my name is Matt Martin, and I'm a Raleigh-based realtor. I've helped tons of clients, just like you, relocate to the Triangle region of North Carolina, and if you're looking to do the same, I'd love to help you too. All right, so let's take a closer look at what makes North Carolina #1. Now, to come up with their top states for business rankings, CNBC performs a comprehensive analysis of all 50 states across 10 broad categories using 135 different metrics. Things like GDP growth, broadband access, tax rates, job training programs, and more. The weight of each category is based on how often it's mentioned in the state's own economic development plans. So CNBC is essentially asking, what do companies care about most when deciding where to go? And then they're grading states based on how well they deliver. For 2025, here's the list of the 10 categories and how each one was weighted. Now, I won't bore you with reading off the whole list, but North Carolina scored in the top 10 in half of these categories: economy, workforce, business friendliness, education, and access to capital. So I'm going to dive into those first. Oh, and if you're wondering what states perform the worst, well, you'll just have to watch until the end of the video to get that insight. Now let's start off with the economy, which was the most heavily weighted category in this year's ranking. And North Carolina came in at #3 in the country. This category looks at things like GDP growth, job creation, labor force participation, real estate performance, and long-term economic resilience. And across the board, North Carolina continues to impress. We've got one of the fastest growing and most diverse economies in the country. In fact, GDP grew at 3.7% last year, making us the 5th strongest in the country. And we added more than 60,000 jobs to the state in 2024. Right here in the Triangle, which is home to Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill, you'll find a thriving mix of tech, healthcare, higher education, and life sciences. Then Charlotte is a national banking powerhouse, and the Triad region, which consists of Greensboro, High Point, and Winston-Salem, is rapidly becoming a hub for biotech and advanced manufacturing. And then even in the more rural parts of the state, you're seeing billions of dollars of investment pouring in. And while there's a ton of major projects driving our economic growth right now, here are some of the biggest. JetZero just announced a $4.7 billion investment in a new manufacturing facility in Greensboro, which is poised to bring over 14,000 jobs to Guilford County by 2063. This makes it the largest economic development initiative in North Carolina's history based on job commitment. Then Toyota is investing nearly $14 billion into an EV battery plant in Randolph County. Wolfspeed is investing $5 billion into a semiconductor factory in Siler City. Novo Nordisk, which you probably know as the maker of Hollywood miracle drug Ozempic, is investing over $4 billion into a new manufacturing site in Clayton. And Holly Springs is seeing massive investments by Fujifilm and Amgen, which is making it one of the hot spots for life sciences in the Triangle. So as you can see, the state is attracting massive long-term investments that are bringing tens of thousands of jobs, building infrastructure, and driving one of the strongest economies in the country. All right, coming in next is our workforce, where North Carolina ranked #4 in the country. This is one of the most important categories in CNBC's rankings, and it makes sense. Companies go where the talent is, and North Carolina has built one of the strongest talent pipelines in the country. We're home to world-class universities like UNC Chapel Hill, Duke, and NC State, and dozens of other public and private institutions across the state. And every year, they're graduating thousands of students ready to work in fields like engineering, biotech, education, finance, and healthcare. But where North Carolina really stands out is with our customized workforce training programs. Through the North Carolina Community College system, the state offers training that's tailored to the needs of specific employers at no cost to the company. So if a business moves here, the state literally helps train the workforce for them. That's a massive advantage in today's job market. So companies are flocking here not just for the tax benefits or affordability, which we'll talk about in a second, but because they know they'll have access to a deep, skilled, and growing talent pool. And if you're someone moving here for work, that means more job opportunities, better career mobility, and a more future-proof job market that spans industries and regions. Another area where North Carolina stood out this year was business friendliness, where we also ranked number 4 overall. This category takes into account things like the legal and regulatory climate, transparency in government, and the ease of doing business overall. And while we're not the absolute cheapest state for companies, we are one of the most predictable, responsive, and efficient. North Carolina has maintained a low corporate tax rate of just 2.5%, which is the lowest flat rate in the country. And there's already plans in place to phase it out completely by 2030. But it's not just about taxes. The state has also become known for being proactive and pragmatic when it comes to recruiting companies. There's a strong partnership between state and local governments, universities, and the private sector, and that collaboration helps companies cut through red tape and get up and running faster. It's part of the reason why giants like all those I named before, plus hundreds of small and mid-sized companies, are choosing North Carolina over places like California, New York, or Florida. North Carolina also made the top 10 in education, coming in at number 6 overall. This includes everything from K-12 performance to higher education and workforce readiness, and we've got strengths across the board. As I mentioned earlier, our universities are some of the best in the country, and they produce an incredibly strong pipeline of talent. Just here in the Triangle region, we see nearly 65,000 graduates per year and have the 4th highest concentration of PhDs in the entire country. And then a lot of the workforce training programs I mentioned earlier are tied directly to community colleges and university partnerships. These institutions work closely with major employers to help ensure students are graduating with the skills that companies actually need. Then on the K-12 side, public school performance is gonna vary across the state, but here in the Triangle, you have the Wake County School District, which received an A grade on niche.com and was ranked the number 4 school district out of the 115 across the state. And then there's also strong charter and magnet programs, as well as a growing focus on STEM and career technical education. So from pre-K through college, North Carolina is consistently applauded for our strong education system. Then the final category where North Carolina landed in the top 10 was access to capital, where we ranked 8 nationally. This one might fly under the radar, but it's a big deal, especially if you're a business owner or an investor. Access to capital refers to the availability of funding, whether that's loans, venture capital, private equity, or traditional banking. And we're fortunate to have one of the strongest financial ecosystems in the country. As I alluded to earlier, Charlotte is the 2nd largest banking center in the US, just behind New York City. So it's home to major players like Bank of America and Truist, as well as dozens of regional and commercial banks. That creates an environment where companies of all sizes have access to competitive financing. Then, not to be outdone, the Triangle region is attracting more and more venture capital, especially in life sciences, software, and clean tech. And it's not just going to established companies. Startups and scale-ups are securing funding here at a much higher rate than in years past. So whether you're launching a startup, growing a business, or looking to invest in a new market, North Carolina has the capital environment to help you thrive. So those are the categories that drove North Carolina to the number 1 spot in America. But who'd we beat out? Well, the rest of the top 5 included Texas at number 2, Florida at number 3, last year's number 1 state, Virginia, at number 4, and finally, Ohio at number 5. But what about the worst states for business? Well, those dishonorable mentions go to Montana at number 48, mainly due to low economic output per job and ineffective worker training programs. Then Hawaii came in at number 49 with America's highest cost of doing business and the second highest cost of living, which really shouldn't come as much of a surprise to anyone. And finally, the worst state for business was Alaska, mainly for its dependence on oil and the effects of declining crude prices on its economy. So that's a look at what drove North Carolina into the #1 top state for business spot in 2025. If you're considering a move to the Tar Heel State, and particularly to the Triangle region of North Carolina, I'd love to be your guide. You can reach me by phone, email, or text, and you can find all my contact information in the link below or by scanning this QR code right here with your phone. And if you liked this video, I have a whole catalog of others all about moving to, living in, and buying real estate in and around Raleigh, North Carolina. Here's another one here that you may like, so give it a click to keep on watching.